Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hey everyone, welcome back to Right on Track. Joining me today is an artist I'm so excited to have a conversation with. Please welcome Rebecca Lappa. Hey Rebecca.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
I hope everyone's doing good. It's really early for us, so we are just waking up, but this will be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I have lots I would love to chat with you about, but before we get into all of the specifics, I would love for you to share a little about yourself and your journey as a songwriter so far.
Yeah, so since I was a child, I've always loved to tell stories, and I've also always loved to sing. Those two loves came together as songwriting when I was around 9 years old. I started going to local open mics and song circles when I was around 11 or 12. And yeah, I've played all over Canada. In 2015, I won a Canadian Folk Music Award for my original music. And I released my latest EP, Tales of a Taurus, in May 2023, and was finally able to take my music overseas to the UK as part of the Great Escape Festival in Brighton. And with the help of my manager, Mandy Wheelwright, and my label Tonic Records, I'm planning on going back to the UK for some more shows in the fall of 2024.
Congratulations on all of that, and I love everybody over in the UK. I have quite a few friends over there. I haven't been able to take a trip out there yet, but it's definitely one of my dream things I would love to do, just to visit in general and to play over there as well.
Yeah, it's a super cool place.
For sure. So I read that you are also a music therapist. You got your degree in music therapy, which is really interesting because I actually went into college as a music therapy major, and then I found out that it just wasn't the best fit for me. So I changed to just a Bachelor of Arts and I double majored with creative writing as well. But I think it's so awesome that you pursued that career path. So what inspires you to do so?
That's awesome that you, first of all, tried to do music therapy as a degree. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. um, but yeah, so basically, music has always been therapeutic for me, and becoming a music therapist was a great way for me to use my talents and help other people. Originally, how I got into it was I was volunteering at the Children's Hospital in Edmonton, where I'm from, under the music therapist that was there in 2018, playing music with patients and helping them write songs. And that experience was really inspiring for me, and it made me decide to pursue it as a career.
I love that. It's so important, and I too, I love giving back. I love helping through music and healing through music because as a songwriter, that's basically what we're doing for ourselves. It's very therapeutic when we write our music, and to be able to use our talent to help others definitely was a draw for me as well. I just think when I started to get into practicums and actually do the clinical side of things in the facilities, that's where I felt like it wasn't the best fit for me, just the atmosphere. I think it was more of that and the whole, like, session planning and all of that. So I think
Yeah.
I just was more drawn to the more loose way of giving back through music instead of the clinical setting. I think that's what the situation was for me.
Yeah. See, I love the hospital setting. So,
Well, you and my sister are the same. She's a dermatologist, so she did the whole, like, med school thing, working in a bunch of hospitals. Me, it's like,
oh,
"Just
yeah.
keep me away, I don't wanna go."
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, so we chatted briefly about, the therapeutic side of being a music therapist and being a songwriter, but for you, how have these 2 worlds kind of collided? How do you see them to be similar?
Well, I mean, when you write songs that people connect with, it can be emotionally empowering. And, as a music therapist, I write songs with clients as well. And so facilitating the songwriting process with them gives me the, or gives them, sorry, gives them an emotional outlet and a place to describe an experience They could be creating a product to share with family and friends if they choose. It can be used as a legacy piece for people in palliative care. It can be used to create social bonding between a parent and a child, in the case of lullaby writing.
I love that. I love that so much. I think that music in general just has an amazing power to heal, to inspire, and exactly what you said. It's an emotional outlet, and I think, like I said, that's the whole reason why I started songwriting in the first place, because I needed a way to get my emotions out and process what I was going through in a certain period of time. And it was funny how you mentioned earlier too that, songwriting kind of became a thing to you that you could pursue once you realize, "Oh, I love music or I love stories together, that's
Yeah,
songwriting." I had the same experience when I was in college, when I was double majoring in music and creative writing. I was like, "Okay, music, storytelling, this is literally songwriting." And that's when I started to really dig into it, and honestly, like, I'm so grateful for the craft because I have gotten so much out of my system, like, through writing the songs, and I feel like I've been able to more quickly, like, move through difficult emotions, and at the same time, it's been really special too because my whole discography at this point is basically like a musical diary of a lot of things that I've been through, and even though
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
in those spaces anymore, most of them, it's a reminder of how far I've come as a person throughout this whole experience.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So what is your songwriting process?
Well, I guess like in the past, I've actually led a bunch of songwriting workshops in Edmonton, and so this is generally the process that I tend to use and that I tend to teach others. I find it easiest to start with the lyrics. Obviously, for me, lyrics and melody often come at the same time. But if you're like breaking it down for other people, it's probably easiest to start with the lyrics. And so generally, I like to say that like the verse or the first verse is the part of the song where you kind of introduce people to like what has happened. Um, and then the chorus section is like the why did this happen part of the song or like the emotional piece that gets people like attached to your story. It's like the main message or theme that you want everybody to know. And then the second verse is kind of a continuation of what happened, maybe in a little more detail or like from a different perspective. And like the bridge is kind of like the why does this matter or how does this change you or maybe like a looking back on like how things used to be different. Um, and I generally tend to start with the chorus when I'm writing, because it usually has the most passion and emotion. And, when you first get an idea, obviously there's a lot of like passion and excitement around the idea. And so I find that then that's generally the easiest part to write.
Perfect. I feel like I just listened to myself talk. Yeah, we're really
Yeah.
similar. I think starting with a chorus is a great idea, especially because that's like the central element of the song. Like whenever you're talking about the message and the hook and what you want listeners to take away, I think it's really easy to have that first and then build the rest of the song around it. Because if you don't have a clear idea of what you're trying to say in the song, it's really hard to figure out what to put in the verses and the bridge. And I'm the biggest bridge fan. I
Oh,
fully
yeah.
believe that all songs should have them and all of mine have them, and I love
Nice. Yeah.
them. Awesome. So I know that you write a lot from personal experience and on topics that are important to you, which obviously takes a lot of vulnerability. So over the years, how have you developed the courage necessary in order to share such vulnerable music?
I mean, I think I find what's important to remember is that other people are also probably struggling with the same things that you are, and that you're not alone in your experience, and that, sharing your story could be just what somebody else needs to know that they're not alone. And so that's generally how I like empower myself to share those type of things with people.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think also too that I don't know about you, but once you release a song that is really personal and vulnerable. I found that once it's released, it's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders because I'm a very introverted person. I don't really talk about my feelings in like conversation and stuff. So music is my way of doing it. And so in a way it's almost like these emotions and situations are like bottled up until I write them and release them. And then once they're out in the world, it's like, gosh, I can breathe. Like I don't need to hide any of this anymore. So I found that the courage coming from when this is out, it will not only be able to help others and allow others to connect and see they're not alone, but for me as well, just knowing that I don't need to keep it in anymore and it's almost a freeing experience.
Yeah, that's true too because then once it's released or other people have heard it, the story isn't necessarily yours anymore.
Right.
It's theirs now, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely. So, shifting into the music side of things, I know that you started off in the folk realm. I know you won your award. Congratulations on that. And now you are doing some indie pop. And I'm all for being multi genre. I do both pop and country. And I think it's really great when artists embrace being multi genre. So, what inspired you to make the shift into pop music?
I mean, I think what created the shift in my latest work was that I actually went into the studio with reference tracks and I spent a lot of time thinking about what artists I thought the new songs that I had written sounded similar to. On previous recording projects, I generally just went in with the songs and we kind of created the sounds as we went. Having the chance to work with Louise Burns in Vancouver, I was able to think more methodically about the sound I wanted to put out into the world and what really sounded like who I am currently.
I love that. Reference tracks are fantastic. I always give my reference tracks to my producer. And especially like whenever you have a clear vision, like putting together a project in particular, like singles, you can be a little more like, oh, let's just see what happens. But whenever you're putting together like an album or an EP and you want some kind of overarching story or, sonic message as well. I think it's really important to have reference tracks and to also too like not be afraid to mix in different genres as well. Like if you want to have a multi-genre project, totally fine. My EP, it is what it is multi-genre and that won an award last year. And so I actually got a lot of criticism from people saying, you should stick to one genre. Like, why are you bouncing around? It's like, well, like you said too, it's like whatever reflects you in that moment, especially too whenever you have a certain kind of message or story you want to tell. Maybe going with an acoustic folky sound fits that song and the message, and maybe an uptempo pop song captures the vibe of another story you want to tell. And so I always think it's important to just do what's best for you and that song at the moment, despite what genre that is. Well, now I want to hear about your current single, Deep Water. So, if you could share the inspiration behind this and maybe a glimpse into the creation process, that'd be fabulous.
Sure. Yeah, so Deep Water was inspired by my experience in an abusive long-term relationship and the PTSD symptoms that followed when I finally left. And I still actually experience some of these symptoms today, even though it's been years since I was in that situation. So that's what this is about. And then working with Louise on the song was really cool. We found this like choir sample that sounded kind of like sirens, like the mythical creature from the ocean. And I thought it really fit well with like the ocean vibe and the moody theme of the song. And we just kind of built the rest of the track around that. And the sample is featured like throughout the song. It's at the beginning. It's a continuing line that brings like the story together. It's after each chorus, and it's at the end of the song. So
I love that. So, what do you hope listeners take away from this song?
I guess I'm hoping that people know that you can leave, even though it can be extremely scary, and you can be taking a lot of risk in leaving a situation like that, depending on like if you're living together or if you have kids and other things, other people involved in this as well. Um, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to, I guess, decide that it's important enough to go for.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for opening up about all of this. I'm sure this song will definitely resonate with a lot of people.
I hope so.
For sure. Well, it was a joy having you on this show. Before we wrap things up, can you share any final pieces of advice you have for any songwriters listening?
Sure. So I guess for me, the biggest thing is that you should find a community. I know, like I've been going to open mics and song circles in the local Edmonton area for years, and there's a great music community in my city. So yeah, the important thing is to find a community and then help have getting your work critiqued by other writers is also a great way to grow your chops and learn more about performance and the music business in general.
Yeah, no, I think that it's really important to have a community no matter what you're doing, especially in creative spaces. I'm
Hmm.
also an author, and so I have a lot of friends in the publishing space and as an artist in the music space. And I think that whenever you're pursuing any kind of creative dream, it's really important to have people in your corner because there's always things you can learn, and having friends that you can say, "Hey, I wrote this new song. What do you think?" Or, "Hey, like I found this opportunity, like I wanted to pass it along. You seem to be a good fit." Like I've gotten so many opportunities just from like friends being like, "Oh, like I saw this and it sounds like you'd be a fit for this," or just like lifting each other up in general. And I think that's really important to find that support system and also give back to it too. I think as independent artists, it's really important to recognize that we're all on this path together and we're all at different stages, but we all love what we do and we all love music. And so supporting others along the way will just make it really enjoyable. And having musician friends is always the best.
That's so true.
Yeah. Well, it was a joy having you on this show. Can you please share with everybody where they can find you online and check out your music?
Sure. Yeah. So thanks again for having
Of
me.
course.
And yeah. So you can find me at RebeccaLappa.com. Lappa is spelled Lappa, for anybody who's confused. And you can also find me on Spotify and basically all the other social media platforms under Rebecca Lappa Music. And yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we did it despite it being a ridiculously early time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it was a joy having you on the show. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Rebecca Lappa. And of course, until next time, stay
Stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.